Welcome to Athlete's Corner. I'm Gabriella, and I'm going to be your strength coach. Today, we're going to break down a key foundational movement, the squat. Why do we even do this in the gym? The squat is one of the most foundational exercises you can do. Just think, how many times a day do you sit down and then sit right back up? That's a squat. Or how many times a day do you go to the bathroom? Again, that's a squat. So that's why we train it in the gym, to make sure we become strong in the gym so we can become stronger in our daily life. In this video, I'm going to break down the squat into 3 different phases. I'm going to give you a beginner phase, an intermediate phase, and an advanced phase that's going to lead you to be able to perform a barbell squat. In the first beginner stage of the squat, I'm going to show you 2 squat variations that you can pair together to help you learn the movement patterns and gain the depth of a squat. So a squat is a simple movement, but one thing that is helpful to help you get into that specific movement is an assisted squat. I am using the squat rack as an object to hold on here. You could use any sort of bar structure, even a table or a chair, something that is sturdy and won't move on you. You're going to grab that object with both hands. Here I can wrap both hands around it, so I'm going to do that. And when you think of going into a squat position, your hips are going to drop back. So you're holding onto a squat rack here, letting those hips fall back, and then standing right up. This is a safe, comfortable way without weight for you to learn the squat movement. Again, holding on to the bar here, going down into the squat and coming back up. You do not have to go very deep into the squat. You do what is most comfortable for you. As a guide to help you learn the depth, you could also implement a box squat, which I'm going to use a bench for. So in a box squat, all you are simply doing is going into that squat position. So dropping your hips back, tapping the bench, and standing right back up. This helps to control the depth so you are comfortable in that movement pattern and do not go beyond your means. As we progress through this, you can see that I will show you progressions where you could get deeper and deeper into a squat, but adding this box is always an option for you. You can also combine the 2 movement patterns together. So you're doing an assisted squat, tapping your bottom on the box, and standing right back up. This is a great introductory way to gain the skill patterns to learn the movement of a squat. For phase 2, or the intermediate phase of the squat, we are going to begin to implement the 2 variations of barbell squats that we have. We have a front squat where you are in a front rack position, and then a back squat where the bar is on your shoulders in the back. These can be limited by certain shoulder and elbow restrictions. So if either one of these lifts bother you, there's the option to do the other. We are also going to begin to implement weight into this round before we get to a barbell. So we have the same simple squat pattern. We're going to use dumbbells. You could use kettlebells if you would like. For these purposes, I am just going to use dumbbells. We are going to go into a dumbbell front rack position. So you're going to take the dumbbells. They are going to sit on your shoulders. Your feet are going to be roughly shoulder width apart. You can point your toes out slightly. Everybody is anatomically structured differently. So if you feel more comfortable with your toes pointed out, that is the way I want you to squat. If you feel more comfortable with your toes pointing forward, that is the way I want you to squat. If you feel more comfortable in a very wide stance, please do it. If you feel more comfortable in that narrow stance, that is how I want you to squat. So starting with our front rack squat position, you're gonna have your dumbbells resting on your shoulders, and you are gonna drop into that squat position. So hips dropping back, knees bending, squeezing those glutes, pushing those legs out as you stand up. Again, going into that squat position, think of driving those knees out to get some of that glute engagement as you stand up. You could also implement the box squat for this. So as we mentioned in the previous phase, I'm using a bench to help shorten the depth of my squat. So we're in that same front rack position. We're now having our butt gently touch the bench and standing back up. You are not sitting down. It is simply just a little tap. If that front rack position, sitting in this position here, is uncomfortable for you, if you have any elbow restrictions, it will not be the most comfortable. You could also go into a goblet squat. This is going to be a much more comfortable position for the shoulders, as well as create a little bit more intentional core engagement. So you're going to be in that same squat position, shoulders, feet shoulder width apart, your toes slightly pointing out. That is what's comfortable for me, but do again what is comfortable for you. You're going to drive those hips back, push those knees out, and stand up. So just holding the dumbbell at your chest, going down into that squat, standing back up. In terms of the depth, you can go as low as is comfortable for your squat. If you are someone who is hypermobile or very loosey-goosey, sometimes that causes issues. So I would stay a little bit more stiff and hang out more in that 90-degree position versus going butt to the ground. But as with the goblet squat, you can also do a box squat. So tapping the box and coming right back up. Phase 3 is the advanced progression phase. So this is where I'm going to implement the barbell into the squat. We're going to walk through two different barbell variations, the back squat and the front squat. I'm going to begin by showing you the back squat. So in back squat, the bar is going to sit on the back of your shoulders. This requires a lot of what we call shoulder external rotation. So if you've had a previous shoulder injury where you really don't have this motion, you can skip this phase and we can go right into the front squat. That just means this might not be for you. But as with all of strength training, everything is very modifiable and able to be progressed. So there is always going to be a solution for you. With the back squat, you are going to be facing the bar. The rig will be facing, or the squat rack will be facing away from you. You want to position the bar roughly at shoulder height. The big key when putting a bar on a rig is when you get the bar out of the rig, you don't want to have to go up onto your tippy toes. So I would prefer it to be slightly lower than too high. To begin, we're going to have our hands about shoulder width apart and we are going to drop underneath the bar. So the bar is going to sit on the back of my traps right here. And from there, I am going to lift up. I'm going to take a small step back from the rig, so I clear the rig, and then we are going to go into our squat position. So again, feet are going to be shoulder width apart, toes slightly pointing outward for myself. I'm going to go down into a squat position, push those knees out to stand up. So again, going down into a squat position, pushing the knees out to stand up. This does not have to be to full depth here. You could do different variations of squat. So even if you give me a half squat and only get to 90 degrees, that is awesome. You should be proud of yourself. If you get to a quarter squat and go only a quarter of the way down, again, huge accomplishment. I'm proud of you. And from there, you are going to re-rack the bar onto the squat rack and come out of that position. Just so you guys can see a front view of what the back squat would look like, I'm gonna walk through the same steps. So I'm getting the bar out of the rig, taking a small step back. I'm going down into that squat. So I'm gonna do a full depth squat. I'm pushing my knees out and coming straight back up. So I'm driving those hips back and down, pushing straight up. When I'm completed the lift, I will then re-rack the bar. Just as in the previous examples of other squats, you can always implement a box squat with the barbell too, and it is a great tool to train strength at different points in your lift, as well as when you're learning a lift. So how this back squat looks with the box squat as well, you go through those same positions. So you're gonna get the barbell out of the rack. You're gonna back up towards the bench, slightly tap the bench, and come back up. So you're using that bench as a guide to block that depth so it's an achievable lift for you. Another option for a squat, which is technically a little bit harder, but I wanted to provide it to you as an option in case that barbell back squat is unable to be completed due to limited shoulder mobility. The front squat, while harder if you have any elbow injuries, sometimes it is unable to achieve just because you don't have that range of motion, and that's absolutely fine. We find another solution for you. So I'm going to show you two different variations of the front squat. I want you to choose what works best for you. The first one is a true front squat. So again, I am going to grab the barbell. My thumbs are lining up on the top of the knurling, about thumb width apart, or as you could see, shoulder width apart. I'm going to come up to the bar, drop under it, and I'm locking this bar underneath my collarbones, and I'm driving my elbows forward. So here I'm creating a resting position for the bar. It may feel a little choky at first, however, that does improve as you improve this lift. We're then going to go feet shoulder width apart, toes slightly pointing forward out for myself, and we're going down into that squat. So you're dropping those hips back and down, going down into the squat and popping right back up. Again, you could always go into a half squat, so half depth there, or you can go into that quarter squat. So you're only going a quarter wave down, and then you could finally implement the bench to add a box squat to really limit that depth. As well, just implementing a box squat with a bench behind me. So utilizing the front squat, again, getting it off the rig, stepping back so I can reach the bench. You're going down into that box squat, tapping with my bottom, coming straight back up, tapping with my bottom, straight back up. Notice how this one with a front squat, you are going to be a little bit more upright, especially with the box squat, and that is exactly what we want to see. We hope this video has been helpful for you and you can now implement a squat in the gym. Amongst all three variations, hopefully you found the best entry point for you. At Athletes Corner, we are always in your corner. If you have any further questions, please reach out to us via our contact information below.